Okay, here we go. I have played with my distress crayons. Is this a fail or not a fail? I'm just going to leave it at that. But not really. I got them. Wanted to try them. Now I'm going to show you what I did. And tell you what I did. And then you can have some techniques that you can try and figure out yourself. Some were okay. Some were not okay. I'll be honest with you. This first one was straight out just a old journaling card I had. And yeah, it's curling up because it got wet. It was just paper. But I just used the distress crayons. And how I used them was I literally just colored on my mat, spritzed a little water over here, and used a brush to do watercoloring. Yep, still wet. But to try to do edging of different colors. And then I just sort of wiped some extra. I had a bunch lined up here. And just see what it would do when I use that technique. And I could see if on a lighter color sheet of paper, it probably would turn out pretty good. This one was just, I've used magazine images, cute ones I thought, and I had pre-made a bunch of this stuff some time ago for a mass make that it was required to do. And so I did it. But I just colored it with the black. And then I used a large brush, dipped in water to smear it. And the whole point of this is I wanted a background that sort of covered the image, but yet I could build up on that image. So, I mean, yeah, it doesn't look the greatest just like this, but if you keep building on it and do other things to it, I could see how that would work to sort of dull your image in the background. This was just a piece. I collage the same thing when I had to mass make all this stuff. But just images, paper, different things that I put in there. But I used multicolors. I just went and smeared in different parts of different colors. And then I took the large brush, dipped in water, and I just brushed on it to sort of mix them and smooth them out. And that's what that got. So I could see how that could be a good background to start building from. This one, I did one color coverage, and I did a lot of it. And then I finger smudged it. Took my finger, after I colored, I took my finger and I smudged it. And then after or smeared it, I just dipped my finger in water. I didn't finger smudge it. I take that back. I colored it. Then I took my finger in water, dipped it in water, and I smeared it with my finger to spread it out. And then after I did that, I took my stencil and put it on top of it, dipped my finger in water, and removed the color like that. And that's what I got on that. And that I could see how that could be really good background too. And you can see it's all different types of magazine pieces that I collaged, just little clips of colors just to have in the background. But I could see how that would work. This was the smooshing, where I took the crayon color on the paper, spritzed it with water, and then I went and smooshed. It was very little coloring, very little water. This was part of the paper that I had dyed because it's on dyed paper. But that is the smooshing from it, and I just sort of smooshed it right here on this mat. That's just a cheap mat from Dollar Tree, placemat thing, flipped over on the back side, by the way. But that's a smooshing like that. And then this was the paper, and what I did when I was using brush to brush out and spread out the coloring, instead of wiping it off directly, I would take it and just wipe it on here. So that's all different colors. And I said, well, that's a good build-up, so that's a good thing. Don't waste anything. And I cleaned my brush off. Now, one of the things that I noticed, I did watch Tim Holtz when he was talking about what to do with distress crayons. And he kept saying, cover your paper with collage medium first. There was another lady, I think I watched 3 videos. And then there was another lady that watched it, and she talked about covering with collage medium first. But you know what? Not everybody has collage medium. So what I did, this one is just magazine paper. You could tell it's from a magazine. It was from a craft magazine. I took my regular glue, and you can find my recipe of what I mixed my glue. Regular old glue, put it on there, smeared it out with my finger, covered it, let it dry. And then I took the colors in, different colors, and I just finger smeared them. So that is a coated paper with finger smear, and you can see it does have a different look than the ones that aren't coated. Well, if I can find it. That aren't coated, but that was slick paper though. And even at the afterfill, this is smooth, this is not. You can sort of feel the distress crayon type thing. But this feels smooth. But that's all that was. Coated first, and then colored, and then smeared with the finger. This particular one, was just mostly magazine print, so it was a slick paper. I just took the paper, colored it with all the different colors, much like I did this one, but it's not coated. Same type of material, but not coated. And smeared it with my finger, but I smeared it with a wet finger. And so I went through and I sort of spread it out with my wet finger. And that's what that looks like. Then, at this point, I'd played for a little bit and I got a feel for them of what they would do. I decided to try two things. I took two identical pieces of paper cut into tags. This is just, I think this might have been, I don't know, from a paper pack from Walmart from years ago. But same type of paper. It is textured, has little fibers in it that looks like glitter, but it's little fibers, not glitter. And what I did, this one was coated with the glue. This one was not. So if you look down here, this corner right here is straight out. Coated paper, uncoated paper. And, you know, in all honesty, the uncoated paper feels smoother than the coated paper. I know that sounds weird on this one, but it does. But that's what it did. But then I did some different things to it. I started up here, and I got my notes written down. I want to make sure. I literally just took my finger, dipped it in water, and I just sort of smeared it in one little place right here. This is the first. I smeared it. And you saw how the colors go a little bit more. It smeared it a little bit more. And a little bit more on the coated one, it came off and spread out more on the coated one opposed to the one that wasn't. It just sort of blended them. Then I took a wet... No, first was just plain out smearing. And the second, that was plain out... Sorry. I'm not reading I didn't make my notes very good. That's just plain out smearing. And then I took a wet finger and did a wet finger smear right next to it. The third thing I did, I took a small brush, dipped it in water, and I smeared with it. And you can see how it does. There's not much difference there. But look here. It literally took more off on the coated one. And really spread it out more. The fourth thing that I did, I took my stencil and laid it down. On this one, I did use a paper towel, dipped in water, and I removed the color. This one, same thing. Laid it on there. This was the coated one. This is the uncoated one, and you can definitely tell with the uncoated one, the color came off a lot more than the one that wasn't coated. But you could still see if you want a very faint, it works the same. That was taken off with a paper towel. Then on this top corner, that's where I put a bunch of water on my desk, dipped my brush, and then I, splattered like that. This is the coated, and then I dabbed it with a paper towel. You can see it pulls it off on the coated one. On the uncoated one, it's really hard to see, but you can tell a little difference right there. But so depending upon the effect that you're wanting, you can see how you can see it looks like a crayon coloring here, and it's smoother on the coated one. So depending at that, but you don't have to run out and buy gel medium. You've already got glue in your house. Use your old school glue. That'll coat it too. That's cheap. You can go get a thing of that for little or nothing. But so if you want a smoother in that, coat it first with glue and then wait. And then if you've got the gel medium and want to use it, go for it. But I'm not going to pay that money for it. I'm going to use what I got. But that's what that happened. Now, the last thing I'm going to share with you, before I ever tried these techniques, I literally one night, I was talking to one of my friends and she was teasing me. Probably seen her if you read the comments on one of my videos, she says, yeah, what I want you to do, show me how to use the crayons. That was what was a joke about these, because I hadn't used mine and she really hadn't used hers, and so we were teasing each other. But these are my very, very first attempts at using distress crayons, and I didn't do much more than I just used them. I colored around the edges, and then I was smearing them, trying to get a coloring. I'm trying to see. On this one, I was trying to edge it and use it for edging. I did a little bit of coloring and smeared it. These images with the stencil was put on with ink over top of it. But that was my very first attempt. So I guess the question is, fail or not a fail? I personally think that anytime you experiment, whether it looks good or not, it's always a success. Because in crafting, we need to try all kinds of different things to see what works for us, how we can use it, and play. Because if you don't play and try, you're never going to know. Even in watching a tutorial of something, you're still going to get not be able to really understand it just watching the tutorial until you stop, sit down, and literally try it yourself. So on that instance, because I tried it, I did learn some things. It's a success. Some things look great for backgrounds. Some things look downright ugly, and I know it. And that's okay. It's just paper, people. It's just art supplies. Nothing you can't cover and redo. And go for it. See you all later.